I want to say 107.5, it's Up FM, going back in time a little bit with the man Nick Collings. For those of you that don't know who this guy is, well, he's a bit of a legend around here. He's been in the dance scene since the dawn of time. Nick, hi, how are you, man?
Well, I'm awesome, man, I'm awesome.
It's kind of good to catch up with you, you know. It's always good to see you, at events around the place. He's the kind of guy where you turn up at a gig, and if you see him on the lineup, you know it's going to be at least a decent gig, because he'll save the day.
Quality, you reckon?
Yeah.
Quality assured.
But Nick, I want to kind of go way back in time with you, man. How did you first get started with the whole dance scene?
Well, I guess just music in general came from parents for starters, and then probably early on I didn't even know it was dance music. Like I didn't call it like, you know, I was like, oh, I really just like this dance music stuff. It was just like I heard songs, and certain songs were just awesome. You know, they had certain beats and certain rhythms and stuff to them.
You go back to stuff like M People and you're like, wait, that was kind of like really early house music.
Well, it was for me. It was sort of like late '80s, early '90s. So it was the real kind of dawning of that. And I mean, late '80s, I was just basically becoming a teenager. Like literally, I was just kind of turning 13.
So it kind of caught you at like a really influential age as well.
Oh, totally. And I was a big hip hop junkie, and so a lot of that sort of stuff I would listen to via dubbed cassette tapes. That's how I kind of got into it. And everyone would kind of, I guess, like how you do it. There's MP3 sharing.
Yeah.
Back then it was like a tape, and it'd be like, oh man, hey, listen to this on my
did you pass the tape
Walkman.
around sort of deal?
Totally. Yeah, exactly right. And so people would have all kinds of stuff, and most of that for me was hip hop.
Yeah.
But a lot of the hip hop elements that were coming through had a lot of breakbeat. And stuff in it at that time.
Do you kind of see breakbeat as the bridge between hip hop and the house music, dance music kind of thing? Is that?
For me, it was just kind of the energy of it. Like I didn't know at that time that hip hop kind of in America, anyways, wasn't as accepted for that time of sort of the 80s especially, and then coming into the 90s is when it started kind of getting sort of chart toppers and stuff like that. For me, I was just like, oh, this stuff's awesome, and I'm like, oh, hey, have you heard this song? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know.
What got you?
For me, 80s wise, sort of hip hop wise, were like Run DMC.
Yeah.
Later on was kind of the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, a lot of Def Jam kind of records were sort of the stuff. I actually used to do like jazzercise. You know how you do like
mouse exercise back?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, basically in intermediate school.
Yeah.
And we used to use Run DMC, It's Tricky.
Yeah.
And that used to be like our
that.
jazzercise was kind of like one of the songs.
Kind of makes you wonder what the teachers were doing in their nightlife spare time, eh?
Well, a lot of the music was provided by us. I used to come in and bring, so people would come in with like, say, Guns N' Roses tapes and stuff like that, and I came in with NWA straight out of Compton. And like every second word is a curse word or something like that. And so, it wasn't something that you showed the teachers. But Run DMC was kind of bridged both, that it didn't really have too many curse words in it, and it was kind of catchy and had sort of guitars, and kids were kind of into it, even if they didn't know it was sort of hip hop. But yeah, I used to listen to a lot of radio, stuff, because no internet. There was no internet. So it was radio. So I'd sit there with your radio and hit record.
What was your station?
And pause. It didn't really matter. It was just songs. I'm a total channel surfer.
Yeah.
When it comes to that sort of stuff.
Is that a habit you keep today?
Total. I'm terrible. Even when I listen to music, it won't be the best song in the world. But if I've heard it a couple of times, I'll listen to it for maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'll be like, right, cool, stop it.
Right.
So it's real annoying if it comes to parties or in the car or something like that. But I kind of only do that when it's just me. If it's at a house party, or if somebody's in their car, then
you'll pretend that you're going to.
You just listen to everything, but I'll just go, right, what's this? Oh, what's this? Oh, what's this? And with the amount of music that always comes through. I'm always kind of, oh, what's that sound? And what's that sound? So a lot of it was sort of pop, early pop tunes, say like Technotronic, Pump Up the Jam. I saw that and I was like, saw this music video for it, and I was like, what is this sort of stuff?
I guess they had quite a different charge to it as well.
Oh, totally did. But I also love I used to love the synths. I used to love synths. So it'd be like Europe, The Final Countdown, Van Halen, Jump. I heard these like songs, and it was like do 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 do, and I was like, oh, what's that noise? And so kind of the influence of sort of rock music with synths, and then it was like, you know, the 4/4, I guess the 4/4 beat or a break beat or something. I guess naturally they kind of just gelled together, and so in sort of the 90s I was going through, and then
what was the pop culture like that you were into specifically around then? Were you like, did you ever like wrestle in the backyard or?
Oh, totally. I mean, I was for me as a kid, probably about 10, 11, 12, I was a huge WWF fan, like a huge WWF.
You could have made it with your size, you know.
Well, I know you're a big wrestling fan, and we used to get so we used to have WWF wrestling used to play on like Channel 2, TV2, late on Friday nights, and I was basically, it came with a massive disclaimer: adults only. Do not try these. Don't try these stunts. Don't anything else. Of course, every kid.
Go try this.
Yeah, of course, every kid wanted to watch this, so they were either sneak watching it or someone would like tape it or something like that.
Back then, it was real, right?
Oh, totally. But the thing is, acting or not, the storylines and stuff are still compelling enough to go, that's awesome. I love that this is happening in this drama. But my dad used to tape it.
Yeah.
And I used to kind of get a sort of double combo of, I think it was Married with Children used to be on.
Oh, yeah.
And that used to be on before, and that had a lot of adult jokes.
Yeah.
But I found it really funny. I found Al Bundy really funny.
Yeah, he was.
You know, so it was sort of that and the wrestling. And so my dad would tape it, and then the next like morning, I'd watch it. And so I'd watch it with my dad. And I used to have say the wrestling figures.
I guess all of that with your, you know, with the mixtapes that you come to school with and whatnot, that kind of puts you in the, hey, what's this guy got for us today? You're the news guy.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of like.
Show and tell's always interesting.
Yeah. So what was, from that point on, what was your first kind of like exposure to, holy crap, this is DJing. I want to be a DJ now.
Well, DJ wise kind of came after school.
Yeah.
But when I was at school, I used to just make like compilation tapes. Yeah. So I went from like this 80s and early 90s thing of like recording something off the radio, and I'd take parts of those and then make a better, like the best of compilation for myself. You know, for myself to listen to. And of course it cut off all the beginnings and ends. Now as I got a little bit older, I started buying.
You didn't even try mixing with the tape, did you?
No, not at all. And so I'd take, when I got a little bit older, I got a bit of money. You know, used to have a part-time job, and so I'd spend it all on like cassette singles.
What was your first job?
At the time? My mum used to do like office work, do invoicing and stuff like that for a place that was called Lucerne Wholesale, and it became Hammer Hardware.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so basically they'd bring home like my mum would bring home like the supplier invoices, and literally I'd just sit on my bed and have to put them in alphabetical order.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah.
You know, and that was it, but a couple of hours every week, and for me it gave me
money for the mixtape.
Yeah, right? It gave me disposable, disposable income.
Those cheap back in the day, man. You know, they were
blank,
$5 each or so.
Yeah, blank cassette tapes. Well, I used to buy them, and I'd buy them in bulk. You know, find the cheapest deal and buy those C90s, so you got more on them. But I'd do that. You know, I'd do that, and then literally, you know, I'd go to school and say, what are you listening to? Same thing through high school. I went to Linfield College, and I just do that. I'd just be saying, what are you listening to? That song's awesome. And it'd be like, hey man, can I get a dubbed copy of this?
Hook me
up.
This
is cool. And then as I went through kind of high school, I just keep collecting music, and it wasn't just like one style. It was hip hop and it was rock, and I was combining, you know, older stuff and, you know, brand new stuff and artists that most people hadn't heard as well.
Right on. Yeah.
But they were about to become pop artists. It was just I heard about them somewhere, read a lot of magazines.
What was the move to because obviously you started out with vinyl. What was the move? What was the point where you went, I want to do this DJ thing. I want to be a DJ now. I want to go to the clubs. I want to, you know.
Well, as I was, throughout high school, just coming back to that, I actually kind of started putting a brand on it, and I called it White Trash Productions. This is what it was called.
I think I saw some of those mixes around.
Yeah, I've put some of them around, and effectively all it was putting my own branding to a tape, and they were just compilation tapes. They weren't mixtapes, so they weren't mixed. They weren't anything else. It was just, hey, here's a Jamiroquai track. Here's a Naughty by Nature track. Here's a classic track from somebody on them, and I used to have a logo, you know, I used to have a logo and stuff and put them on the tape so people knew that they were mine.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of that. So always buying music.
Yeah.
From there, collecting the music, I started getting into a lot more, well, since day one with dance music, I've always been into everything dance-wise. You know, so it was like early rave music.
Yeah.
And from that, you know, it was also...
Were the movies, because you had like RoboCop and movies like that back in the day, and they had really dark techno soundtracks. Did those kind of hook you in as well at all?
Some did, but a lot of that never came until kind of later on.
Yeah.
There were certain songs, I guess. For example, if you watch Basic Instinct, if you watch that, there's a dance floor scene in there, and you know, there's a classic Channel X song in there as well, which is a classic rave tune. It's this dark, nasty tune, you know, and I always kind of reference that back and go, I like that song. That song is awesome.
This is why I like this movie.
And even cheesier stuff like the Mortal Kombat soundtrack.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big rave record.
I was all over that one.
For a lot of guys. But a lot of it also came from TV. A lot of TV had soundtracks. Yeah. So like sports shows used a lot of dance music. So for example, To Unlimited. Yeah. You know, y'all ready for this? I think
even now, you know, like you've got Doom's Night playing in a lot of...
Oh, totally.
You know, and you're kind of like, do people know the history of this tune? Because, yeah. So as far as the DJing itself goes, what was the point where you were like, okay, I got to get onto some vinyls, I got to stop, you know, grabbing tunes? What was the story with that?
Just came from a necessity, and I'll call it a necessity for me because I'm obsessed with music and everything about it. I couldn't get the music that I wanted on CDs. Yeah. At that time, I looked everywhere. Yeah. You know, so a lot of the rave stuff coming through, even though I wasn't DJing at the time, I was trying to find, and I'd go to specialty. Let
me interrupt you. Was it on radio at all? Were other people playing it?
There were no dedicated stations to it. Yeah. There'd be once in a while the odd radio show would kind of come through, and so I'd learn certain artists and stuff like that. And the internet had started to become a bit of a resource. So kind of the mid-90s for me was kind of when I got the first...
A very slow resource, but a resource nonetheless.
Oh, it was a very slow resource, but for me became... I had an email address and started getting on mailing lists. Now, mailing lists at the time were similar to how you have like Facebook now, and someone posts something and then someone posts under. But the difference was a mailing list was, say if there were 100 people on this mailing list, if anybody wrote anything, it went to all 100 as an email. Right. You know, so it was just like an email that someone replies. So I used to be on rave mailing lists, and there'd be guys from the US, guys from Canada, a lot of guys from the UK, and a lot of the stuff I was into was UK and European. And so I'd get them to send me mixtapes of their local DJs, or send me actual tape packs from big raves in the UK. So like Helter Skelter, Slam and Vinyl.
Back in like early 90s, it was probably easier and quicker to send you via post a mixtape than it would be to upload it to you on your like 28.8K modem, right?
Well, no one was doing it. I mean, you couldn't. Online shopping wasn't a thing. Yeah. Listening to music online was not a thing at all. You didn't know. And so I'd get these mixtapes and I'd go, right, what's this song? And have to figure out from the track listings and stuff, and then go, right, I'm going to go find it. How am I going to find this? Yeah. And I would search everywhere, and I couldn't find them at all. And so from there, I started getting, you know, I was like, oh, okay, well, how do these come out? It's like they come out on vinyl. They come out on 12-inch vinyl. And people at school used to go, hey, you buy all this music all the time. You should DJ. I'm like, nah. Yeah. And it kind of got to that point that it also, that it became the necessity. Yeah. If I wanted this song, the only way to get it
I've got to grab the vinyl.
Was on a vinyl. Yeah. So that's what I started to do. And through...
How did you find vinyl shopping in New Zealand? Did you have to get this stuff overseas? Or?
Well, at that time... it was really tough. I mean, New Zealand, Auckland had some good record stores. It had some good stuff, but the more rave stuff was never really taken as serious. Yeah. And I don't think we really knew in sort of...
We're a bit shocked.
This was, for me, this was about 1997. So I started DJing at Easter 1997. Yeah. So around about that time, we were kind of on the verge of how big dance music was about to kind of become. But record stores at the time, I don't think they really understood that there's so many people out there that are getting into this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So what I did is we used to have to do like a mail order service. So through a friend of mine that I'd seen play at the Brain parties. So Adam Morris, Adam Bomb. At the time, he had
What's up, Adam?
he had a mail order service going, which basically meant normally every week or every 2 weeks, he'd send me a fax. So not an email, not in the post.
Man, you've been through all the technology.
He'd send me a fax, or I'd see him in person.
Yeah.
And he'd give me a photocopied bit of paper, and what they were release sheets.
Yeah.
So out this week is this song, buy this, and I'd have a little write-up.
Yeah.
So not how it is now when you go to iTunes and you go, okay, click play. Oh, that sounds cool, I'm going to buy it. It was stab in the dark.
Yeah.
So you needed to know, you needed the knowledge.
Yeah.
So I guess
back then you'd really pay more attention to the artist as well, because you couldn't afford to spend $25 or plus shipping on some artist's vinyl that turns out to be total crap.
Yeah. So that's what the mixtapes, helped me with. I went, right, I know I want this song, I want this song, I want this song, I want this song.
Yeah.
And the mixtapes at the time were up front. So sometimes the music on them is if you got the mixtape quickly, that they wouldn't be out for another 6 months.
Yeah.
So you'd know, right, I want this record, and the week it comes out, you can get it.
Yeah.
And so I'd do that, and it was a record pool. It was a record pool of a whole bunch of people, including guys like Sample G used to do it, Sam Hill, and all like a lot of rave DJs at the time, guys playing hardcore.
Yeah.
Because that's what I started kind of getting known for. Although I liked, I've always liked house, always liked drum and bass.
Yeah.
That's kind of what was gravitating.
Now, today you're known as the guy that can kind of play anything, but not just play anything, but play it properly as well. You've got so much knowledge about each genre that you can do a respectful set, whatever the occasion requires. So from that point, what was your first actual gig? When was the first time that, and what was the name that you went under?
I started, totally, from day one.
Yeah.
So of the 90s and the rave that rave culture was basically all about fun, taking the piss.
Glow sticks.
Glow sticks, raving, chipmunk vocals, for the rave stuff, for the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
And this is something that, something I don't shy away from. A lot of people will be like, I started out and I was playing these horrendous records. From day one, I was playing a Todd Terry record, or I'd play a Hixie, play a Hixie record, play a Vinyl Groover record, something else. So I had no problem. I had no problem with street cred or lack of street cred. As well. So I was playing hardcore. Yeah. And to go with the cartoonish nature of all that, I went by Scooby.
What inspired that? Were you a big Scooby-Doo fan? Or?
No, it was internet. Okay. Internet. It was like a similar to how Dead Mouse got his name because it was like his computer.
You
it was
found
like
a dead dog in your computer.
No. Online. Like an online name.
Yeah.
Well, it was the same kind of things for for those mailing lists and for like internet chat stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot more anonymous back then. It wasn't so.
Totally. So
this is where you live. This is your PO box. This is your GPS. We know who we are.
Yeah. So this, so I went by that.
Yeah.
And
it kind of stuck.
Yeah. It totally stuck. And so, I still use that name now for certain things, but the concept of that was, that one's going to be 100% like fun.
Yeah.
Scooby's going to be a 100% fun name, mainly derived from the all ages scene, which I had a lot of.
Yeah, you had a
huge standing.
We'll get into that in a sec. What was the first event that you actually got invited to play at though? How'd you get the gig?
Well, I guess it's kind of like sort of anything. Is if no one's going to give you the time of day, you do it yourself.
Yeah.
So what we did. And I say we because I don't think it's just one person always kind of gets in there and does everything, but we used to put on free raves.
Yeah.
So we're one of the first. We actually used to, or friends of ours used to do them illegally.
Yeah.
So they'd find basically have a generator, have a set of decks, set of turntables in the back of a station wagon, and it would be I'd get a phone call on a Friday night or a Saturday night going, hey Nick, we're going to be here from 9 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
Invite whoever you want. Keep in mind, no internet, no Facebook, no anything. So it'd be
cell phones?
Hard even, yeah. I didn't have a cell phone at that time.
Yeah.
And so it'd be like, right, this is what we do.
Signals, right?
Oh, totally. You know, it's totally kind of that whole rave culture, which I really...
Hey, when you picked up the phone and you called your mate, you know that they're going to come.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's like, hey, you're into this. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so some of the ones that I went to were like the band Rotunda in the Domain.
Yeah.
The bottom of like Cornwall Park, so in a field. There were cows in the field as well. It'd be like basically generator going, humming away over there. Set of decks over here with a black light, and you'd be like going, oh, okay, I hope I don't step on anything.
Yeah.
And it'd just be music. And it'd be, you know, at that time there'd be like 20, 30 people.
Yeah.
It's not really, you know, that big. We started doing some around town. One of the places we did them at was at Tahaki Reserve.
Yeah. That's where the big Upper Fem parties were.
Yeah. Basically illegally.
Yeah.
So they, you know, basically rocking there. That's what we did. But we didn't never get in trouble because we didn't cause any trouble, and the noise generally held pretty well. Plus, it was a little bit different. We tried that now.
Yeah, it'll be over in a few minutes.
Yeah, after 5 minutes, it'll be you're shut down.
Yeah.
And so we decided at that time to do it legally. Yeah. So we went to the council and basically went, we want to put on a free concert. You know, so that was the end of 1997. So I was 19.
Yeah.
At that time, and basically we used to have to go meetings with them, and it would be sit around the big board table, and I'm this 19-year-old punk kid, and
convince them that you're going to handle.
We're going to have this free concert, and we have to draw up plans of where the rubbish is, and someone from the conservation is there because they're worried about their plants. The cops are there. Well, what are you doing to stop drinking? What are you blah blah blah? This is what we're doing, and they said yes.
Yeah.
And so we started doing them. And so we called those sounds of summer.
Yeah.
And if you look on Facebook, if you stalk my Facebook enough, you'll find all the flyers are there. All the flyers are there. And it was just a black and white flyer. And we used to do them closer to sort of Christmas. I think we did one on Boxing Day.
How did you guys do flyers back then? Did you
generally they were photocopied. Yeah. So you hoped one of your friends could use probably, I don't know what the design program, probably MS Paint or something. Yeah. Fire up a flyer, put some kind of rave photo that you stole somewhere.
Yeah, and Comic Sans font.
Yeah, oh, totally. Free rave, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Come along and photocopy them and just go hand them out. And so we did that. So one of the first gigs I ever played was, funny enough, our own one.
Yeah.
At Tahaki Reserve. The first big gig.
What kind of music did you play?
That one was hardcore, I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was hardcore. I remember Sample G played on that one as well, and I went through the housey stuff, the early trancey stuff, not quite club trance yet, and the hardcore
made
stuff.
Its way through to the hard.
Yeah, exactly right. Just kind of, it was just our crowd, just what me and our friends were listening to at that time. There was definitely some drum and bass in there.
Yeah.
And so we went through that. But yeah, the first big gig for me it's like the holy grail. It's like coming up DJing, and not even DJing, but used to go to all age parties because I was underage. The drinking age at that time was 20.
Yeah.
And
21?
I was 20.
20, okay.
Yeah, 20 at the time. And basically for an all ages kid, there were two parties to go to. And I went to those two parties.
Yeah.
That's what I did. One of them was Stomping Core, which was a big kind of trance. I guess you see it more kind of similar to sort of acid trance and psytrance.
Yeah. And
the other one was The Brain. And both
party, yeah.
Exactly.
Do you think we're ever going to see another Brain?
Never say never, but I'm not sure.
Shouldn't hold my breath.
But yeah, for me, though, those were the two. Yeah. Now, I didn't really, I love the music from Stomping, but I didn't really mingle with that kind of culture or what they were doing.
Yeah.
And The Brain, I go to and go, wow, this is amazing as a non-DJ. Just go, wow, this is incredible. As a kid going to these things for a couple of years. And I started getting to know people and pestering them, through message boards and stuff like that. And so just started building that up. And one of the big things for me, my first Brain was July 1998. And it was at the power station. And that for me was like the holy grail. That was like, right, you worked really hard from kind of DJ sort of wise to get to there. Because everyone was doing really, really well. You had to wait for someone to either, to fall off, do something silly, or you had to up your game to go there. And there was a whole bunch of people going, right. So it was kind of like, who's going to be the next person? Yeah. So it was my, kind of my time came.
the early promoters of those days, were they looking for something different, the next thing, or were they kind of like more wide-eyed, you know, looking for the guy that's got the tracks that others don't, or what was the kind of attitude?
I think for that time, and I still carry this into DJing now. It's, you know, it's tunes.
Yeah.
All about, you know, it's all about music. But anybody can play big tunes, and that's fair call. But I think you definitely need to back it up with the knowledge.
Right.
Keep in mind, a crowd's not going to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But I often say it to like up and coming guys who go, oh well, you know, it's like, oh, so who do you play for? Yeah. And I'll be like, okay, well, you tell me. Okay, 99%, you know, 99% of the crowd aren't going to know what you're playing, unless you're playing big hits.
Yeah.
And the other 1% is the person that pays your bills.
Yeah, yeah.
Who do you impress?
Yeah.
You know, so it's finding the right balance.
Right.
And for me, it was knowledge, was having those records, because if you had a record that nobody else had, chances are they couldn't get their hands on it for at least a week.
Yeah.
So if that big party was on that week, you've got that one tune, or in my case, I had an arsenal of them going through. And also at that time, part of the, you know, what makes you different from anybody else
was the culture with, sorry to interrupt, but was the culture a bit more different with DJs in the scene as well? Because you would have to swap records a lot more, wouldn't you? I mean, it wasn't so much, I've got my stuff, you've got your stuff, let's never talk except for at this party. Was it a bit more social, having the actual hard vinyl to swap around? Or
well, I don't think anyone sort of swapped them. I think, you know, it was kind of what was yours was yours. You know, it was kind of like, you know, this is my pride and, you know, pride and joy.
I had to fight for this one.
Yeah, this is my baby. Yeah. You know, this is, you know, things about records, you know, it's a limited pressing. There are 500 of these in the world.
Yeah.
You don't get it within the first 2 weeks, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a MP3 where it's going to be there forever, or even to the same point of, oh, well, I'll just rip it off. I'll rip it off the vinyl. It's never going to sound the same. Yeah. You're not going to own the physical medium. That to me is what the DJ culture for me, you know, was all about. And that culture, a lot of it was socializing in record stores. When you're out and about, was you know, seeing some, oh, hey, that's this person, and hey, that's that person, and hey, this person is this, and you'll meet through somebody else. Yeah. You know, a lot of it is socializing. I mean, even today for me is different generations of DJs as well, no matter what they play. You know, still sit around the barbecue. Yeah, you know, the barbecue. Oh, hey man. Oh, yeah. Oh, so
what's up? What's coming?
Yeah. So what do you do? Oh, you know, I play. Oh, well, what do you play? Oh, cool. Oh, so what do you want to do? And so that culture hasn't gone away, but I think it is definitely harder and harder for people to connect. Yeah. The internet's made it easier for people to see what everyone's about. Yeah,
to make contact.
But to actually connect. And that's kind of where I see the record store, you know, the record store culture, which I was definitely a big part of. Yeah. Which, coming back to the question about like the first gig, part of the reason we had just opened a record store.
Right. So that came before your first gig?
First big gig. Yeah. Yeah. So April 1998 is when we opened up Criminal Records.
And that was you and Adam?
So that was me and Adam, yeah. Yeah. And so Adam was there for the first year and a half. Yeah. And then for the next 8.5 years, I took it on my...
Why did you start a record shop?
Once again, necessity. Everything that I've kind of done thus far has kind of been out of necessity. I've always kind of been one of those people that rather than moan about it, do something about it. Right. Well, actually, I'm going to moan about it.
And then do something.
But then I'm going to do something about it. I'm very much about, if you're going to moan, well, what are you actually doing to change that situation?
Was opening that record shop, was it partly, hey, I need new records, I want to get some like really cool stuff, and I might as well sell some stuff? Or was it more, hey, I want to introduce some stuff to people that I know would dig it, and I'm picking up the DJ thing? What was the mindset with that?
All of it. Yeah. Absolutely all of it. Originally it was, we could not find the records that we wanted. Yeah. It was plain and simple. We couldn't do it. I started getting all the good records, ordering them via Adam. Yeah. You know, and Adam realized that, hey, he knows about these records. I have the platform to get it there. So let's combine, and rather than our small DJ pool, how many other people are out there getting into this music? Yeah, how big is it? And so that was kind of how it was. And also for us, partly at the time, because we were quite young, the attitude of some of the people in the record stores, for us was, kind of walking in, and it would be like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable being in here. I don't really want to ask a question because it might be silly, and they might just frown upon me. I guess kind of the genre wars.
Yeah, fair.
And the other one, and the big one that really excelled us as a business, was actually ordering stuff in.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is the problem I used to have. I'd go out looking for CDs. So before I was a DJ, go, hey, I'm after the CD. They'd be like, they were like, oh, we don't have it. I'm like, is it possible to order it?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, they'd go through catalogs. So there'd be ring binder catalogs, I guess.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd find the actual numbers, everything they needed, and they go, yes, we can order it.
Yeah.
And then it would never come through.
Right.
Like I expected some stuff wouldn't come through.
Yeah. And I guess when it becomes annoying and frustrating and you can't get what you want, you might as well.
And fair enough, And I found the same thing with record stores.
Yeah.
So I'll go down there, and a prime example I think was might have been quite early, like late '97 or '98, and it was like it was like Wild Child Renegade Master, the Fatboy Slim remix. Yeah. And I remember going in and going, hey, do you have this record? And they're like, oh, we're sold out. I'm like, when you get some more, can you call me and tell me, here is my number, here is my blah, blah, blah. I want to buy one, I want one. And I went back, didn't hear from it. And then maybe, 2-3 weeks later, go back to the store type thing. And on the shelf are like 5 copies. Yeah. 5 copies of this record. So for me, I was just like, man, that's frustrating. Yeah. So one of the big things for me was,
you don't want people to go through that. You want to
if we can get it in, if we can order it for you and it comes in, then we tell you. Yeah. And so half our ordering straight away was requests. Yeah. People going through going, hey, and then we started on like want lists, almost stuff that you think you might never see. Yeah. You go, right, tell us what you want. Tell us I really want this record from 5 years ago. Yeah. We'd be like, it's going to be pretty hard. Yeah. But if it comes in...
So that kind of became a guy's specialty in some way.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But then you had represses. So sometimes they come out with a new mix of it and have the original. Yeah. So you go, hey, the original's on this. And they'd be like, wow. So people kept coming back because they wanted that specialty, that specialty, they wanted the knowledge that you had, that you could walk in and go, oh, hey, I've got
this. Here's where it's coming from.
Yeah, right. I don't want to listen to 100 records. Yeah. Because I'm going to want to buy 100 records. Yeah. I've got a budget for 2. Yeah. Give me your two best, or give me 5 or 10 to listen to.
Is that where a lot of your genre knowledge comes from? A lot of the base of it?
A lot of it, yeah. Listening to stuff. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, and it just doesn't happen anymore, was, I don't know if you went through this as well, but when you got a new album, it doesn't have to be a vinyl, but when you got a new album, if it was a cassette tape, if it was a CD, if it was ever, put it on, press play, first thing you do, you read the inlay of it, you look at the cover, read the inside. What's the first song?
I was all color coded, Nick.
Yeah, who wrote? It was kind of like, who wrote? Is there lyrics in there? Is there a photo? Yeah. So that's what I'd do. I'd sit there and I'd do the same thing. Study it. Record labels. Right. Who owns this record label? Yeah. What is this record? What have they done in the past? And start picking trends. This is what I still do with music now.
You're just fully researching it, really.
Totally. Well, it's just a general interest. Yeah. I mean, I've been the kind of person, like in school, basically I just flunked out. Yeah. I don't have any degree. Yeah. I don't have any, tertiary education as such. I don't have the bit of paper that says I can do stuff. So for me, it's always been motivated to go, right, if you do have that bit of paper and I'm here, how am I going to
surpass?
Yeah, how am I going to be a more how am I going to jump up the ladder type thing? And the only way to do it, hard work. Yeah. It was hard work going, right, what have I got that this person doesn't, or what can I bring to the table? Or, was 9 times out of 10 was sitting there going, right.
I guess the kind of pattern that I'm seeing with you is, you're self-sufficient and you're going to find the means to reach the end goal that you have.
Yeah. Though each project gets a bit bigger, especially as you get older, money and everything else.
Other things start to kind of...
Oh, totally. So you've really got to, you got to think about what you're doing. But for me I haven't had a real I haven't had a real job since like the year 2000 or what, you know, when I ring up, or my mum will ring me, you know, and well, she stopped doing it now, but she used to basically all the time. And she'd be like, when are you getting a real job? You know, this is having a record store, running a radio station.
Yeah, it's not easy stuff.
Yeah, you know, it's when, you know, when are you getting a real job, you know, type thing. Because she wants to see me do well.
Yeah, of course.
You know, which I totally get. But for me, I've always just been motivated.
You want to do what you're passionate about.
Oh, totally. That for me it's the be all and end all. Yeah. Is if I can do.
Plus, when you're doing something that you love doing, you're gonna be good at it and do well in it and continue to grow in it, as opposed to when you're stuck beating your head against the wall. Yeah. You're just gonna keep beating that head against the wall. You're not gonna do much more. Yeah. Well,
I live for 7 days a week rather than most people do and go to a job that they dislike for 5 days to have 2 days of awesome. Yeah. You know, I would rather go, you know what? Sure, money's important to me, but it's not the be all and end all. And if I can get a job that is reasonable, you know, is reasonably paid, but doing something that I feel is worthwhile, then for me, 7 days of awesome. Yeah. You know, and that's most of the jobs that I've had.
I think from what I know of you as well, the jobs that you have worked, you've become, if not the start, but later on, you ended up being quite an influential part. I'm going to dive into that and cover up FM a little bit later, but I want to talk a little bit more about Criminal and a certain little cave as well. So Criminal Records, like if you're wondering, it had a kind of jail cell kind of feel to it.
The first one, the very first Criminal.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was, you know, you knew you were in a special place when you kind of walked in. Where did you guys get the whole theming from? Was it out of desperation to not be broken into, or what was the deal?
Well, the very first store was number 1 O'Connell Street. Yeah. It's now a wine cellar, I think, or part of a restaurant. But at the time, it was actually the back of another record store. Yeah. So there was a record store going on in there already, but they didn't cater to the rave stuff. Yeah. So we went, hey, you've got this smaller room out the back. You're getting people through. We know we can get a truckload of people through. Yeah. It'd probably be beneficial for both of us to
hook it up.
You know, to do it. Just basically, you don't sell any of the records that we sell, and we don't sell any of the records that you sell. Yeah. Was kind of the general kind of vibe. And so the back room was literally just down, was down in a little dungeon, little dark spot, and it already had like what looked like the cage, like a jail cell. It already had that as its emergency or back exit. Yeah. So, we'd already walked in there and gone, oh, that goes with the, it goes with the theming of it. It goes with the theming of it. But we're only there.
You moved up to Simon Street. How long after that?
So we went in 98. So 1998 until 1999. Yeah. And then from 1999 we moved to Elliott Mews, which is where Elliott Staples is.
Don't think I checked that out back then. But.
Yeah. It was in there. It was in a basically a small little quiet little mall thing going on in there. And in the end we got evicted for noise. Oh. So it's kind of funny. So we knew we were up front.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you're going to sign up a record shop. And
we were totally up front. Yeah. We were totally up front about what was going on. Yeah. But we got evicted for noise, which is kind of funny. And so from there, so after that, Adam left. Yeah. So he went off to pursue his own kind of thing. So basically, for that time, the record store was kind of self-sufficient, but it wasn't, not earning a hell of a lot of money. I had a second job. Yeah. And DJing as well on weekends. And so I was selling out of people's houses. Yeah. It's literally just to kind of keep it going. Yeah. I did that for about 6 months. And so different people's houses, I'd rock up on Friday with a box of records. So I'd still import them all. Yeah. And then box of records and my FBOS machine. So the FBOS machine could just plug into a telephone line. Yeah. And so I just do that, on a Friday and a Saturday afternoon. So just a lot of loyal customers would come around. Yeah. And that was okay, but I was never really going to grow or do anything else.
So you have to take a bit
Plus, for me, it's just it's just not professional to do things that way.
Yeah, yeah. You've heard of door-to-door milkman. You've heard of door-to-door
record store
delivery guys. This is your door-to-door vinyl man.
And so from there, I used to catch the bus every single day. Yeah. To Simon Street. I was working at Southern Cross Healthcare. Yeah. So I used to do that. That just used to be like my night. I used to work there 4 days a week, 4 till 8. Yeah. At night. So after the record store was go there. And so what I did was I used to get off at Simon Street. And Simon Street at that time was a hole. It was just a disgusting mess, basically. And there would have easily been 8 8 or 9 places that were empty.
I remember there was a really cool underground video game shop back there as well back in the day.
Yeah, there were lots of
really niche places.
Yeah,
there,
cool
right?
shops.
But
when I'd get off and it'd basically be walk past four lease, and nothing was really kind of going on. And so I used to, walk past every day and kind of started, I guess, the sort of mentality started going of, maybe a store. Maybe, I don't know.
Good idea.
I don't know. So I go to Southern Cross, and it means to pay the bills. But I'd sit there and I'd be listening to my Walkman, listening to my music, and I just keep going over in my head. And then one day I just went, oh well, let's see what happens. And I rung them all up.
Yeah.
I rung them all up and got the rent and did that and did some numbers and sort of figured it out. And that was kind of, for me, one of the biggest decisions of my life for that time.
Yeah.
And that was the year 2000, the beginning of 2000. So
Did
the millennium.
Did you live in the place as well, or like
No,
it was just an apartment?
It was just a shop, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I knew destination. It was great. It was like there's no other shops around, so parking is going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
And the rent will be cheap because I've seen that they've all been empty for God knows how long, and it's a destination spot, so I'm not too fussed about people kind of walking by.
Yeah.
And so in May the 1st, funny enough, May the 1st, 2000, Criminal Records
opened its doors.
Again, but that was the one that was taken seriously, and I was 100% on my own.
I think that's the one that's more remembered as well.
I was there until November 2007, then I was online and finally disbanded Criminal in December 2008. So it was a year, 10 years.
Yeah.
I did a decade.
Wow.
Decade of selling music.
That's pretty sweet, because you had a lot of competition from CDs and stuff coming through, and
totally. But also music styles as well. Like I kind of see the dance scene as similar to like dog years. You know how they go dog year. What is it? It's 1 human year is
7 years.
7 years or something like that. Same thing with music.
Yeah.
It was like just the styles and stuff coming through.
Yeah.
So when we opened up in 1998, we were opened as a rave store.
Yeah.
Right, we want to get in rave music, we want to get in hardcore, and we're big on stuff like Prodigy and the Chemical Brothers and that. But at that time was like the club music was coming through, your Big Beat and your Fatboy Slim and all that.
666 and all that.
Yeah, so we were like, right, let's get right into this. And we had some really good Dutch suppliers. So we got all the bouncy kind of precursor to hard house started coming through. And so no one was doing it in Auckland. So right, let's do that.
Yeah.
And then the club trance invasion, and I will call it an invasion, kind of happened.
Do you think that the whole genre deal, today genres are, correct me if I'm wrong, but more crossed than ever. Do you think that genre and music choice is more linear, or is it a more circular thing where we're going to see something come back again in the future? What's kind of from your experience with it?
I think they just keep reinventing certain sounds.
Yeah.
Technology, I think the technology kind of pushes it forward.
Yeah.
But, you hear, they're just cycles. They all go in cycles. So, like right now, this whole like kind of commercial deep house thing is going really well. And all the Dutch elements that came in the late 90s are all starting to appear in these deep house records.
Yeah.
So that'll be the next evolution of the next evolution, the next evolution of it.
Yeah.
Yet the sounds were very 90s, very early 90s.
Yeah.
Yet you kind of look at the demographic and people listening to it and go, okay, cool, well.
It makes sense because
in 1990,
this person was blowing.
This person was this. Also it's just age. Plain and simple, it's just age. Even if someone was born in the year 2000, so 2015.
Yeah.
So say for example, at the moment through social media, Darude Sandstorm is getting a big resurgence.
It's
getting a repush
to in part the Peking Duck.
Peking Duck guys, you play, and a few other people have been doing it. But Darude got a DJ booking for Stereosonic for Future Music. I think is what it was.
Awesome.
Off the back of that, so a resurgence. Now that tune came out in like 99 or 2000.
Yeah.
So. That's 15 years ago.
What do you think made those tunes so big? Do you think that it was a lack of competition? Because now, you have so many producers. But a lot of those tunes were really massive. And to this day, you can kind of play it back and go, yeah, I get why this is so hooky. Some of them are very simple, but they're very, very memorable. What do you think made them so special?
I think at that time, part of it is the access to getting it from just a song on a digital download site
Yeah.
to on the radio and stuff like that. So record companies,
Yeah.
record companies and PR people that do all the behind the scenes kind of work.
Yeah.
Whereas now there are millions of songs that go up every week, but chances are most people are never going to hear them. Are not going to hear them, which is a shame because there's probably some really good stuff out there.
Yeah.
So
hey, I've got some great stuff out there that nobody's going to hear.
so people, so back then there were, right, this is the song that we're going to take to radio, and this is the song that's going to do this.
So you think more attention was kind of paid to these guys?
Also the longevity of a song.
Yeah.
Now, now it could be right. Everybody can have it on the day of release if they want to.
Yeah.
If they want to. So in 3 weeks' time, they're over it.
Yeah.
Whereas the longevity of say something like that, say Darude Sandstorm, for example.
Yeah.
It came out on another label before it was there. So DJs kind of already had it.
How long did it take for it to get on an actual, those Ministry of Sound CDs? Because I remember you and a few others playing that kind of stuff,
About 6 months.
A few months later, you had all the kids at school turn up with the CD, and you're like, man, this is old. Get out of here,
Yeah, normally about 6 months.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit longer, but that's kind of the cycle. Even some of the bigger EDM stuff is doing that too.
Better? It was better that way, or do you think it's better how it is now, where people can get this stuff really quickly if they want to?
I think it's different. I think the biggest difference in it is the music right now is more disposable. Not in the sense of yes, there's always going to be stuff that is right. This was made in a couple of hours, strictly to sell units.
Yeah.
But disposable in the fact that somebody can have it like right now and it's gone. So people don't really value as much. So it's kind of, as soon as you put any kind of value on something, people tend to hold on to it a little bit longer.
That's true.
So if you spend $2 or $2 on a bit of music, then you might be like, oh, well, I'm going to give a couple of extra plays, and I spent $2 of my hard-earned cash on this kind of thing. So when you're spending $20 on a bit of vinyl,
because that's how much a single would be. So you had to love the tune.
Then that's got to be a big tune. That's a tune you've got to like and you've got to be into, and you want to play it. So more just the longevity. The longevity of music is I personally think people just don't dig. They just don't. Their knowledge, and it's no discredit to people, but they're being bombarded with so much stuff.
Probably this whole flood that's going on, and it's so easy to get music that you can't handle the truckload that's thrown at your face constantly. So it's hard to sit there and go, that one is worth my time when you're being bombarded.
Yeah.
But with Criminal Records, do you have any number of tunes that stood out as the top sellers of all time for Criminal?
I don't have the specific numbers, but I kind of know the sort of big sellers. Delirium Silence. Yeah. That's probably one of the top sellers, and that was a bit of a kind of slow burner. Yeah. That it kind of came out in '99. And by 2001, 2002, it's still selling. Right. I can still get numerous copies of it every week, and it'll just keep on kind of just keep going. Yeah, that's cool, keep going. So Delirium Silence would probably be the biggest, just sort of seller. So for the most people that didn't know, for Criminal, we mainly did club trance. Yep. We did sort of the bigger house records. Did a lot of hard house. Did a lot of hardcore. Hardcore going at the time. Style. Hardcore. Going in. The beginnings of hard style. Yeah. Your German trance kind of stuff.
I came and grabbed a couple of hard house. I was playing hard house and garage and a bit of breaks, and I come to you and I listen to the hard house stuff, and then you kind of pass me some hard style ones. You'd be like, oh, check this out, you might like this, and it had more kind of ravier elements to it, if you will, but some pretty cool stuff, and you had quite a lot of unique tunes there. It was pretty cool.
For me, DJ wise, is I just get bored really quickly. And so always want to push it forward. Always keep it going. And I was quite fortunate at the time to be playing in some places weekly and having weekly residencies that you could get away with that.
What were these spots?
Well, to begin with.
Okay.
Icon.
Let's go to the cave.
Okay. So we'll go. So one of the first DJ residencies I ever had.
As a kid, being 14, 15, let's say 16, because that was the legal age, right, for it. But you go into this underground staircase, and as you go in, you get hit by this like unique smell, which you learn is the smell of a smoke machine, and you get a random laser to the eyeball, and these big bass lines just hitting you from all sides, and you kind of like, you know, it's like you're stepping foot on like some alien planet or something. It's so cool, and it's such a unique atmosphere, you know. So you kind of like, you're just like in awe by everything that's going on around you. And then it was all the girls in little skirts, and everybody was really cool down there. You know, it was a really, really cool vibe. So this was Platinum Icon that later on became Icon. Let's go into that a bit. Tell me a bit more about.
So originally, it was Platinum 104. So it was 104 Fanshawe Street, and it was decked out like a cave, like, you know, kind of paper mache kind of cave.
Was the building originally like that, or did they?
No, it was originally like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to an after ball.
What was it before?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think another club or a bar or something similar.
Yeah.
I'm not. Don't know the history.
Pretty to this day, one of the most unique things I've ever seen in a club, and it was cool, man. It was really dope. So what happened with it all? How did?
So I joined part of Platinum in 98.
Yeah.
Was when I first kind of got in there. Just guest slots.
It was quite a young.
Jared Armitage.
Yeah.
Was the original owner. And he set it up, and he was quite young. I think he was 24. If you look on YouTube, there's a video. There's a video of him, and if you look closely, you can see me raving in the background. Mike McRoberts does the narration, 60 Minutes or the news guy. He does it. But yeah, so that was kind of the first sort of residency for me, and so I had guest spots there, and then.
How'd you get the gig?
Just the people I knew, you know, at the time was just hanging out with that rave crew, you know, other DJs, guys that were coming through. I was like, oh, hey, okay, you want to play this guest spot? Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay, play this. And they was like, oh, that was rad. And also for me, for that one, and the same thing happened with The Brain a little bit later on. At that time, everyone was still playing hardcore, or real big on hardcore. But at the same time, I was playing just as much housey stuff and clubby stuff. Yeah. And trancey stuff, and and nobody else was really.
I remember when you were doing the Friday nights at Icon, and you had the tune signs. Remember
tune signs or something, it was like photocopied tune.
Yeah. that was pretty cool though.
Yeah, and so for me was being diverse was because everyone was playing hardcore. Yeah, it's like, well, you're just another hardcore DJ.
Would you say that to DJs now? Would you say to people that, you know, younger guys or older guys that want to kind of be more noticed? Would you kind of recommend that they take a more unique approach, or would you recommend that they just, what would you say?
I think just be you. Yeah. Just be you. Whatever is you, whatever you like, play it. One of my biggest. So although that's a great achievement for me to be that diverse. Yeah. At the same time, it's quite a. It can be quite difficult as well, especially as getting older and been DJing for longer, is having that, what do you play? Right. So people go, well, what do you play? So that's how I got more known for the hardcore stuff and the trancey stuff and that, rather than the housey stuff or drum and bass but the cool thing that I liked about Platinum was you could get away with a whole bunch of it. Yeah. Because, and this is what I love about the all ages scene, was they hadn't been corrupted yet. Yeah. They hadn't become too cool for school. Yeah. That
they weren't quite music snobs yet.
Yeah, you know that. I don't listen to hardcore. It was like, this is a great tune. I love this. I'm going to dance. Being
a younger crowd as well, you know, I remember like I had a few mates that I brought out, you know, there from school, and they would just freak out, you know, in a good way. Yeah. And they go back to school and like talk about it, and they kind of be like they talk about it, but they almost didn't want to because they didn't want to like ruin the secret, if you will, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool though.
So it falls in the wrong hands.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah. So I was there basically from 98 until, when did it close? 2001, 2002.
I think I made it to 2002.
Yeah. But I was there basically every single week, and so they had 3 different owners. Yeah. Throughout Ben was one of them. Ben Slater was the Russ family. Yes. Yeah. So it's Aaron Hayden.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They were both DJs.
Yep. Yeah. As well.
I remember seeing Ben's sister in court.
Really? What were you at court for?
I was just a witness. All right. But I think she was a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But yeah. I like Ben. He was a cool guy, man.
Yeah. So they were awesome times, and we could get away with a lot.
Yeah.
Just musically and stuff as well. As I said, because people hadn't been, tainted or fallen under that. I don't listen to that. If it's image based or whatever, it was just like, right. So I could go in there and go, right, I'm going to play some big bangers, some big tunes. But at the same time, I could go in and play all these other tunes as well. And because we danced to it, which was great.
From the kind of
great for me.
point of view, because I was like 15, 16 while you were playing out there. You were one of the main DJs that I saw, whether I liked it or not, you know. But it was always like you'd play a few tunes that we all demanded almost.
Oh, totally.
You had to have
your favourites, man. There's favourites there.
You throw stuff in, and then
there's no doubt.
That's a cool tune. That's a cool tune. I got to, and then they'd come through. But what do you think was kind of the impact of the drinking age changing? Because it was 20 and then it went to 18.
18, yeah.
How did that kind of play with things?
I think it really kind of crippled. It kind of crippled what was going on, what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
Though the drinking age was 20, people that were 18, 17 or whatever kind of drinking. So that perception was, if the drinking age is 20, if I'm 18, I'm an adult, I'm an adult, I'm going to drink and this is what I'm going to do. So all I think it did is shifted it younger again. So it was like, right, 18, so you got 14, 15, 16-year-olds go, oh yeah, well, I'm going to drink and I'm too cool for this because this is what I do.
Would you want to see that drinking age go back up?
Be interesting to see. It's a totally different landscape now.
Yeah.
Personally, yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it go back to 20.
I think so too.
I'd like to see that, but I don't have the facts. I don't have the facts and figures to back it up regarding.
Yeah. It's more from a dance party perspective.
Oh, totally.
DJ
I at the moment, to my knowledge, there's not really a all ages scene going on.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's truckloads of people DJing in garages and DJing and having home raves and home parties and stuff like that.
That's how the industry gigs started.
Oh, totally. There's thousands of gigs have started that way. But that's what I kind of see, because I honestly think, and this was a real testament to that platinum icon kind of thing. I changed the name to Icon a couple of years later, and
it had a
year later.
It was like a little
silver
hat sign.
Yeah,
it was cool. It was very iconic, if you pardon the pun.
Yeah. The Intergalactic Centre of Noise is what it actually stood for.
Wow, it actually stood for something. That's the first time that I've heard that.
Icon.
And then it got cut down to the con because Icon was too long for us.
It's Icon, the con, whatever,
Hey, while we're talking about Icon, let's kind of go back to the chat room as well and what influence that kind of played. Because I think a lot of DJs and fans of like pure dance music from back in the day, they were quite internet savvy. We were quite early adopters of the net.
Very much so.
And, I had my friend Tim that owned Hash Lick, and then we had the sports wars and that kind of stuff. And there was before hashtags were what they are now.
Yeah.
There were the IRC, Internet Relay Chat channels. How did you guys get started with Hash Icon? Why did you make Hash Icon? What was going on with all that? And how much of it kind of... Did you see new faces because of that come to the club?
Definitely. I think you're spot on. I think a lot of people at that time were getting internet savvy.
Yeah.
We're right up there and right figuring it out, and they wanted a voice.
Yeah.
They wanted a voice. So IRC, the internet, chat relay stuff was that kind of voice. And there's all these other channels that were going on, like chat rooms, chat rooms kind of going on. And for that particular time, there was like ones that I was originally in was in rave.
Yeah.
First one I stumbled across in like 95 or 96. Maybe even 96. That sounds about right. Yeah, it was Hash Rave, and it was people from all over the over the world. And we started getting the odd like New Zealander coming into it.
Yeah.
And we started getting more and more. And then kind of Icon came along, and it was sort of the younger, younger generation that were adopting technology.
I think that was good.
And so I think it comes back to that culture thing, is rather than we go out to a nightclub on a Friday night because it's entertaining. It's like, no, I live this culture.
Made it. And then you had the record shop at the same time for a while as well. So it was kind of like...
And I was also running NZ Rave, the website at the time too.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s.
I think it's like kind of peak day. You had hash Icon, hash NZ Rave, hash Need for Speed, which was like the whole Boy Racer crowd. And all of these crowds, to some degree, intermingled as well.
Yeah, there's hash Biggie as well.
Yeah, Biggie NZ, yeah, that's right. I think of, social media, what social media is supposed to be today, and I can't help but feel like, even though the technology that we had back then was very crude, and by today's standards, freaking crappy, it was more social. You would chat with people online, get to know each other based on hobbies that you were into, because that's what would bring you to the channel in the first place. And the next thing you know, you meet up with these people in these places. So, hash Need for Speed, you meet up at the McDonald's where everybody was showing off their cars, and then some of those guys would be into dance music. Oh, do you go hash Icon? Yeah. Oh, you coming tonight? Cool. And then you make new friends. So that was, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
I definitely think that it's, you had to have a real conversation with people.
Yeah.
So with record store, is getting to know people. Yeah. Whereas now you can just hit, kind of on a being a keyboard warrior, I guess you can, you can flame people and you can have arguments with people. But in general, you'd have to have a conversation with people. So to get to know them, you have to ask them questions and see what's going on. Whereas now
you look at the picture,
you fire up Facebook, and Facebook you can provide any kind of, you can be anybody you want if you choose to be, because you're filtering your information. However, if you're having a conversation with someone, sure, behind a keyboard you can be whoever you want, but with these things is eventually the hobbies and the interests crossed over. So like you said, we went there because we're interested in cars. Same thing, music. Hey man, that's how I met some of the people that I know. Initially was like, hey, I'm going to this rave. I'm going to this, how I met some of my still close friends today was through that.
There was like a meetup. I can't remember which one it was, but I know Hash Icon was involved, and we had a few where the channels will kind of battle each other in sports and would have random meetups and stuff. But I had one of my best friends to this day, it was just this random guy. He goes, hey man, he was a metal rocker guy. He says, hey man, I need a ride. I hear that you live out west. And I was like, yeah, I'll give you a ride. You got gas? Yeah, I got gas. And that was one of my best mates.
Awesome.
But I think the difference is that now you kind of, if you see somebody on Facebook or somewhere, the general kind of activity or the way that you would judge this person is flick through a few of their photos, see what they're into, what image they put out. Whereas back then you had to actually, as you said, talk to them, kind of see what they're about. So there's a big difference between what somebody's putting out as the image that they want to put out and who they actually are. So that's kind of, I miss some of those elements of that,
The struggles for likes.
Yeah. So I want to go back to a station that was red and very up, called Up FM. You gave me a show on that, and that was awesome. That was really fun to do. How did Up FM get hooked up? How did you get hooked up with Up FM? Were you one of the originals on Up FM?
Up FM started out of George FM.
Yeah.
So basically, it started in 2002. Up FM started in 2002. George was already established. And George was basically like a cafe style music sort of thing, a lot more chilled out, a lot more relaxed, a lot cooler kind of thing. So at the time...
Was it quite different to how it is now?
It's very different to how it is right now, very different. And so at the time, the uplifting stuff was really popular, was absolutely massive.
That was in the day of the industry raves and...
there were the industry parties, St. James, St. James parties.
The gate crashers and the...
Gatecrasher,
and
Slinky.
Slinkies,
Yeah, there was chemistry. Big parties like that, yet there was no real voice on radio for that. And so Up FM started out of that. Uplifting, upbeat. So that was kind of the idea, was everything that George couldn't play, Up could. And so it began in George FM. So where George FM on Ponsonby Road, with the second studios became... It was
that little closet, wasn't it?
Became the Up FM, became the Up FM studio. And then, I don't know the full ins and outs of the story because I've never had a financial stake in it. But in 2004, I think it was, the program director at that time, which was Jared Borman.
For George?
For George, so he was working for George, running Up, and he'd put a lot of time and effort and love into it, and I believe they were thinking about shutting it down. And so he was like, hey, I've spent all this time on it, been building this brand, I really love it, can I buy it? And so he bought it, and they moved up to Simon Street.
Yeah.
So basically above Penny Farthings, which is where it stayed for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And so I had the radio show in 2002. So it was about probably the second or third week of Up FM.
Yeah.
I got a phone call from the very first program director. I think it was a guy called Dave White, I think his name. He was like, hey, yeah, have you got a radio show anywhere? You blah, blah, blah. This is, basically this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So me and CJ, at that time, who was basically working in criminal. So we went and did criminal cuts.
Yeah.
So we used to do it on, I believe it was a Tuesday. It was a Tuesday night. I think 8 till 10 was the first slot. And then after a short amount of time, we moved to Wednesday, 6 till 8, which is where it stayed for the rest of eternity.
Was that your first kind of go at radio, or did you do anything else before that?
Well, at school, I was big on media stuff. I'm big on media. I love social media. I love TV, radio. Love the behind the scenes stuff. Everything about it. So when I was in school, part of that element was, there was a tiny little radio kind of part of it.
Yeah.
On like Access Radio, and then after that, little stints as part of. There used to be a hardcore radio show called The Happy Hour.
Yeah.
Which was had to pay. I think it was $50 a show or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't run the show. I just went up there as a guest, like once in a while, and so learned a little bit there. But as far as radio shows and stuff go, I had no idea.
Naturally, does it?
No idea. Oh, just fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
If I listen to some of the early shows, they're horrendous.
Yeah.
They sound horrible. So I've kind of developed.
Hey man, live.
Yeah, developed this horrible radio voice over time. Sort of started out. I was welcome along to Criminal Cuts. It's Tuesday night. I had an epic weekend. I hope you did. And now it's welcome to Criminal Cuts. Hey, this is what's going on. So I did Criminal Cuts. So it was literally every single week from 2002 until March 2013.
Yeah.
So that's 11 years.
Yeah.
11 years every single week, and I missed maybe 6 shows ever.
But you got a bit more involved in just presenting as well. I
got a hell of a lot. I got a hell of a lot more involved.
Because there were the parties as well, and then there was the managing the advertising, and then there was the recording studio in there as well. So there was a lot going on. What was your kind of what didn't you do?
Well, basically, so in 2002 I had the record store.
Yeah.
The record store wound up December 2008.
Yeah.
And at that time, they had, there was an operations manager, and there was Jarrah, who was the managing director of it. And they had a production studio, which High Dosage were using at that time, the Hard Dance Act. And, things were kind of dawdling along. Now, I get a lot of people coming up to me as well and do the old, what you should do? Kind of thing. And then they proceed to tell me what I should do.
Right.
Well, I became that guy for Jarrah.
Yeah.
And I used to supply, certain tunes.
Yeah.
So I used to listen to it and I go, okay, it sounds cool, but it needs some new music. Oh, it needs this and that. So I'd go, right, here's some tunes, here's some bits and pieces.
Yeah.
This is what's kind of going on. And so I kind of rocked up to Jarrah and I was kind of like, what you should do? And then rattled off everything that I felt, could be done, because I had invested, interest in it. Not financially, but because I'd done a show on it and I want as many listeners as possible. At the particular time I felt, it was sounding a bit stale and certain bits and pieces just weren't coming right. And so in April 2009, basically got offered a job part-time as the program director. So my role was to basically program the music.
Yeah.
That was kind of it. However, it sort of evolved into doing everything.
Yeah.
Jarrah at that time took on another business down in Tauranga.
Yeah.
And so he went back and forth all the time, and it kind of went, I'll be up in Auckland for 3 days, I'll be down in Tauranga for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then it kind of, I'll be up this week, but I won't be next week.
So
I'll be up in 1 month. Yeah. I'll be, and so it became like that. And, I hope he knew at that time that he trusted me enough to go, right, this is what we're going to do. But the main thing for me was walking in and going, right, a blank canvas. Let's get in there. Let's get stuck in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not pulling any punches.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, there's going to be some people that are going to be unhappy with this. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot of the regular listeners that are going, oh, I'm not too sure. You know,
how many listeners do you think it had in its peak?
I'm not too sure. I don't have the facts and figures. They were on the. They did get the ratings. They did get ratings for 1 year, but that was before it was the.
There were a bunch of hoops that you had to jump through for the ratings. Like the ratings themselves, weren't they done on like Sunday mornings or something? Like surveying and all.
The surveying is done in a very prehistoric,
potentially biased manner.
Oh, not even that. Just a very prehistoric way.
Yeah.
Pamphlets are handed out, and people that are at home have to mark what time of the day they listen to radio, what they're listening to.
Yeah.
So it's not a very good system that they really need to address.
For, you know, classic hits, and it might give them a good representation. But
Up FM from day one, you know, it's a low power frequency, and that was the hardest part. That, you know, real common question. You know, it's like, oh, I really, you know, I think you guys are great, but I wish I could hear you more.
Do you think that now, I mean, you know, looking at technology going back and forth, now with satellite radio coming in, could there be a re-emergence of smaller stations like Up that could have the potential to go global, do you think?
I think there are, but I think we're one of the biggest countries in the world with saturation of radio.
Yeah.
So I think it's looking at the content. What are you doing? Yeah. You know, what are you doing? And ultimately, keep in mind why are most of these people in business, that you need advertisers and you need sponsorships to pay the bills. So you need to find the way to get the money in so that you can survive.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the toughest parts of being on a low power frequency.
The events, though, how did they come into play? Because I mean, the events was something that we could, you know, you could definitely see the numbers at. And I remember going to a solar series and thinking, crap, I want to be a part of this. This is sick, you know, this is awesome. What were the peak numbers for that?
Well, was
it fun to run, or was it a complete nightmare?
Both. So the Up FM Solar Series was a bit of an institution. You know, it was massive. People loved that and looked forward to it. The way that I came into it, so you know, I ended up becoming the general manager of Up, which was a little bit later on. But a lot of that event management and a lot of, especially the production of ads and stuff, all came back to me. Scheduling and stuff like that. And so for the Solar Series, I used to go to them all the time. And what I found was happening was people would come to the parties, but they weren't really listening to the station.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, this is great. This is a great awareness of what's going on, but we need people to listen to the station.
Yeah.
So one of my main goals was to go, right, I need people listening, you know, I want to flip it, or at least get it a bit more even. Kind of what's kind of going on. And so when I came on board, so the end of 2009 going into 2010, also to our you know, for us, Facebook and Facebook events was becoming...
It just kicked off.
It just kind of kicked off, and getting it out to a wide audience became a hell of a lot easier. There wasn't the saturation, there were events. So using the radio, and for me, changing up that content. So changing up the content, getting it a lot more relevant, getting a lot more exciting. Listenership was going up. You know,
the cool thing about it was that although it may not have had the listenership of some other stations, it was so interactive. You know, when we first got our show on there, that text machine was smoking hot. It was really cool, and you would almost have a conversation with some of the fans. It was cool.
Well, that was the thing for advertisers. You know, they, you know, and it's a shame that a lot of them still think like that. They're number crunchers. How many people are listening?
That's a quality versus quantity thing that you have to take.
Oh, totally. So you could go to one of the major networks, and they could go, we've got 30,000 people listening right now. It's like, okay, but out of that 30,000 people, how many people are going to actually be interested?
Be influenced by what?
Are going to be introduced to this product. If there's only 500 of them, yet if we have 5,000 listeners, yet 1,000 of them are going to be into it because they're buying into the culture, the lifestyle of what Up FM is, and that's what most of them were doing. So one of our most successful campaigns were for hair savers. So you've got a pair, right? I've got a pair. Truckloads of people have a pair of them. That was one of our most successful ones, was letting people know that loud music damages your hearing and you should do something about it. So connecting those people, and we had a real high hit rate because we were coming across.
It was relevant.
It was completely relevant, and it was honest,
and it was from a trusted source that people would listen to it. So
exactly right. So coming back to those events, coming back to the Solar Series, my goal was, right, I want to get people there. I want to see this place jam-packed. So previously, most of the ones that I'd been to, and I've been to a lot of them, were like 500 to 800 people. And they were cool. And they were good, but right, we're gonna up the ante, and so we just got everybody we possibly could into dance music and stuff. This is, Up FM is this is what we're doing. We're changing, we're evolving, and we're in the thick. We love dance music. And one of the biggest eye-opening experiences, and also for me one of the biggest achievements, was the very first. It was the first one of that summer. Saga, So it was late 2009, and it was at, I think, Coyle Park was the first one in Point Chev. And driving in, I was running a little bit, so I didn't get in there and set it up. I came in later on, and it was maybe, they kicked off at like midday, I think. And I got there about 1, and I couldn't find a car park. Blocks back, keep going back, and I had to walk for miles. I had to walk for miles to to come along, and I'm like walking in, all these people, just streams of people are just heading towards Coyle Park, and I got there and I'm just like, it was like there was like 1,500 people, and we'd hardly even started. By the end of the day there was 3,000 people, 3,500 people.
Was it?
All 4 of them that summer, 2009 to 2000, there was about 12,000 people across 4 events. So there were 2 at Coyle Park. There was one in the Quarry, Western Springs, and one at Tahaki Reserve.
The Tahaki Reserve would have a lot of memories for you now, huh?
And it was crazy, just wall to wall people having a great time. Dealing with the outcome of having that many people comes with its own little, comes with its own things. Like it exceeded well and truly.
What you had expected.
Way what we had, what we were expecting. So I mean, there's always going to be a little bit of trouble, with that. But there was nothing. It was nothing too crazy, and we kind of learned from the first event. Right, this is what we're doing. This is what's going on. This is what we're doing.
I think Up as well itself, the way that you guys had it set up, you helped promoters as well. So they weren't just buying advertising on air. It was kind of like, not so much, you weren't taking over their events or anything, but you were kind of helping them connect to the right people, the right ticketing sources, that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool. As far as radio goes, is that it for Nick Collings, or are we ever going to see Nick Collings? What's the chance of seeing Nick Collins? I really love radio. I really enjoy radio, like the on-air aspects of it. I really enjoy the production aspects of it as well. So I'm hoping to get back into the realm of radio, and I'd say I'm pretty, you may hear the voice once again.
Yeah, totally. As everything, I guess what we've learned is, everything I've kind of done off my own back, or going in. If it's not going to come to you, then you got to go out and get it. So, making it happen. As I said, those goals keep getting bigger, and the goalposts kind of keep moving back. But I'm going to get in there somehow. I'm pretty certain, pretty determined. Like that. But also at the same time, the real world comes calling. And I'm looking for a full-time job. I do freelance writing. So basically lay claim to Rip It Up magazine. And I've got 2 pages every single month to talk about electronic music. So this month in Clubland, that's what it's called. And that's the only print publication in New Zealand
that covers it,
that has electronic music. So I'm real proud of that, and I try as best I can to involve as many genres and stuff as well, rather than, this is what I like about, I guess being Nick Collings, is you can walk into a hard house event and people. You can walk into a house event and feel at home. You can walk into a trance event, a psytrance event, a hip hop event, a downbeat event, a whatever event, and I can have a real good time. That's what I like.
It's kind of, I suppose it would be kind of like, like a mammal. They're all different, but they share the same core structure, Nick, I think we're going to catch up again sometime later on, because I want to see what you'll be doing in time to come and whatnot. But what would you your parting words or things that you want to say to two types of people? Number one, the upcoming DJs, producers, radio hosts, the guys that want to get into that kind of stuff, or slightly into it. What would you want to say to them? And secondly, what would you want established guys and girls to understand or to know? What are your words on those two elements?
I think for upcoming guys, is the biggest point is what makes you different than anybody else.
Yeah.
Because it's a very common kind of one. People will go, I'm very passionate about music.
Yeah.
Anybody that's a DJ is passionate about music. Yeah. So what's your point of difference?
I guess it's like when a business says, hey, we've got great customer service. Well, that's not really an advertising factor. You're supposed to have great customer service.
But a lot of people don't. That's the funny thing. They're not even doing the base,
Yeah.
That's probably one of the things. Do the basics well.
Yeah.
And build on them. Ask 1,000,001 questions. Don't be afraid to ask, people that have more experience about it.
Yeah.
I know I love that. People ask me questions all the time, and I don't, I never try and turn away and go, oh, don't ask me that, or laugh it off as something, because everyone's at different levels of what's going on. Just keep learning. Keep learning. You want to know something, just get in there and do it.
Find the source to ask and ask.
Yeah, totally.
Keep at it.
Be motivated. Yeah. Be motivated to do it. Try not to, walk over other people to get what you want.
Yeah.
I'm not about that at all. I'm all for, fighting fear and just do things better.
Yeah.
If people aren't going to give you the time of day, you've got to change it up and go, right, so what? What am I going to do? I do that, I do that now. I still find it really hard to, full-time work, for example, DJing, everything else, you got to keep putting it out there. You got to keep coming out with something else.
Yeah. Keep growing.
Yeah, keep growing on it. And if you hit the point that it's no longer enjoyable, then that's okay. Call it quits. Make a hell of a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Pick yourself up though. How you handle those mistakes will define you. I guess most of all is don't be a dick.
Yeah. Awesome. You heard it right here. And what about the established guys? What would you?
To the established guys
also
is,
don't be a dick.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Try not to be a dick. Yeah. Be a dick around your mates. I mean, I'm a total dick on Facebook. Yeah. I'm a total dick, but I try and make it entertaining, and I try not to call out people or do hurtful things. Established guys is look over your shoulder. There's always going to be somebody else. You can't take it for granted. Yeah. Because at any given time, it's over. You might be the king of whatever right now, but tomorrow some other genre, some other person, some other whatever is going to come in. And also for just DJs in general, is I think more of them need to do their homework. Yeah. Learn the history, learn that. A lot of them just learn about, right, I started here, therefore this is what's going on. Yeah. That's great. But also learn what's come before you, what's gone on in New Zealand, in America, in the UK, in wherever.
I think there's a bit of a saying, it's something like, to know where you're going, you got to know where you've been.
Where you've been, yeah. Yeah. And also, I guess for me, is, you can't change the past. Yeah. You don't know what's going to happen in the future, so you got to, live for right now.